All right, welcome to the Fantasy Danger Zone show. Thanks for distracting me, Sam, already. So, I am Armando Castaneda coming from Seattle, and we have
Sam Hernandez, broadcasting live here in my dungeon here in Anchorage, Alaska, and we will see how long this internet holds out. So far, it seems to be doing okay, but the boys are playing Fortnite right now, and my daughter, I'm sure, is playing Roblox. So we'll see how long this holds up.
fighting the bandwidth problem.
Oh yeah,
All right, well, we got one of the most dominant teams in the AFC West in the last few years. It seems like ever since Patrick Mahomes has came in, it's been Chiefs dominated. But we do have three other teams that are fighting and scrapping their way through it. The Chiefs have made a lot of offseason moves, so let's go ahead and talk about some of those. Let's just start out with the biggest trade of the offseason and Tyreek Hill leaving and going to Miami. They're trying to fill that hole with Juju Smith-Schuster and their rookie Sky Moore. How do you feel about the transition between Tyreek Hill and those two?
well, so on the field, he's definitely going to be missed. Um, Looking at this from a fantasy perspective, Juju Smith Schuster is going to gobble up these targets, and I foresee him having a monster season. Sky Moore, obviously they're trying to replace, I don't want to say replace, but they're trying to get back a little bit of what they lost with Tyreek Hill, which is why they went after Sky Moore. And it'll be interesting to see how they use them. I mean, they also went out and got MVS from Green Bay. So you have your home run hitter, you have your wide receiver one in Juju, and then Sky Moore. You're kind of like, I guess, almost like a scat back type wide receiver. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. I think at the end of the day, what are you thinking? Like 100+ catches for Travis Kelsey, double-digit touchdowns, all
If there was,
pro.
yeah, if you ever thought twice about drafting a tight end in the first round, this would be the year that you would draft Kelsey in the first round. One of the things that I I'm stuck thinking about, and we had glimpses of MVS and Juju as wide receiver ones in Pittsburgh and in Green Bay.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time the narrative is, oh well, they had a bad quarterback, they had this, they had that, they had problems, and that's why they couldn't be a true number one. But they didn't. Like they had Ben Roethlisberger who was slinging the ball over the place. They had Aaron Rodgers who was throwing the ball all over the place. Like I don't understand how we could think that they're going to come in and circumvent or replace Tyreek Hill in any fit, form, or function when they've already been proven that they can't be wide receiver one material.
So it's interesting. I think in Juju's case, I mean, he had that monster season. What was that, 2019?
Wasn't
Um,
Antonio Brown there though?
I mean,
He played.
even with that, he had a monster year. And I think one of the things, you know, that kind of gets lost in this. Everyone is talking about, oh well, Juju, he hasn't hit that since then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the same time, I mean, Big Ben was a shell of himself, and to be fair
I mean,
for
Deontay Johnson's held up his end of the bargain. Like they've had, they have wide receivers in Pittsburgh that did a really good job, and Juju just kind of fell down the wayside. Like
but at the
I
same
don't know
time,
if
I
it's
mean,
Ben's fault.
none of them were consistent too, and I think that I would say that speaks to Ben. I mean, one week Chase Claypool would have a huge game, one week it would be Deontay Johnson, one week it's Juju. I mean, I'd have to look at his catch rate and his route running, but to really get a good gauge. But I mean, I would say I'm looking at this, and this is a golden opportunity for Juju, and I feel like he's going to take it. Now, does that mean that Tyreek Hill, there isn't another wide receiver like him, just due to his combination of speed and quickness, and the fact that he can, hey, he can catch the ball in traffic. A lot of guys are fast. There's been a lot of fast players in the NFL, but that doesn't always translate to the guy that can catch the ball, in
Yeah.
traffic, make the play, and he's one of those few. And um, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But again, I believe in Patrick Mahomes, and I think they're going to get the job done. And again, 100 plus catches for Travis Kelsey, double digit touchdowns, and it's going to be God, disgusting.
Well, if there's anybody that can do it, like I do trust Patrick Mahomes. Like the guy's just unbelievable, and I do think Andy Reid is one of the smartest coaches in the NFL. And if if they are going to do it, I think they're in a prime position to do it. And so it's going to be interesting to see. One of the things that I do like about what the Chiefs have done this year is that they did trade for Orlando Brown from Baltimore for that left tackle position because they seen exactly what was going on their division when you have to face Chandler Jones and Max Crosby twice a year. Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. The writing's on the wall. They needed to get a little bit better up front, and they went out and did that. How are you feeling? And Joe Thuney, I thought, came over this year from New England. So
I mean, yeah, and then they also have Creed Humphrey. I mean, that, they're doing what they need to do to protect Patrick Mahomes. I think at this point, it's kind of it's going to be on Mahomes himself. Is he gonna continue to try and make those Brett Favre-ish like plays, and kind of put himself out there to take the extra hit, or is he gonna start to be more like Aaron Rodgers, who can make the play without ever taking the big hit? I think that's going to be the difference.
yeah.
You know, yeah, their O line, they are improving their O line. They're doing what they need to up front. At the end of the day, it's going to be totally dependent upon Patrick Mahomes and his ability to not take the big hit.
Transitioning to the running back though, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They spent a lot of draft capital on him in 2020, and he is,
Oh,
I think, underperformed what they expected and what they wanted out of him. I know I wasted an early, pick in Dynasty for him, and it felt like I've been robbed every single year. It just hasn't really materialized. Um, but the shocking thing that's coming out of Chiefs camp now is Isaiah. I'm going to mess this up. Pacheco,
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 Pacheco.
Pacheco.
Yeah, he is looking great. He is apparently running stuff out of the slot. He's catching out of the backfield. He's doing a lot of the things that, you know, we expected the Clyde Edwards-Helaire full package to be. And that we kind of got that like lackluster. So how are you feeling about this running back room?
So they're going to produce. As far as fantasy goes, I would avoid this because I can see by week 10, once the playoff push begins, whatever was going on in the beginning of the season with whether it's CEH or it's Pacheco, I could see like once the playoff push hits, it's going to be Ronald Jones. They're going to go with the proven asset, and I just see Ronald Jones being the guy that they're gonna lean on. So there this running game is gonna work. As far as fantasy goes, I stay away from it. Let somebody else reach on Clyde Edwards, and hey, congratulations on drafting a guy that's just going to be frustrating you, for this year too.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm staying away from the Clyde Edwards-Helaire bus. I will not be on that this year. So, okay, I was asking for a friend. I wanted to know, making sure that you were, making sure we're on the same page.
Mm,
So, speaking of another great pass rush, you know, that is one thing that every team is spending money on is quarterbacks, wide receivers, and a pass rush. You got Frank Clark, Chris Jones, they're just loaded up front when it comes to sacking the quarterback.
hmm
Is this the same thing that we talked about with the Chargers and the Broncos and the like? It doesn't really matter about a lot of what the defense is because you have three quarterbacks in this division that are just going to tear it up. Or how are you feeling about the Chiefs D?
So I think this is where the Chiefs defense is different. Um, I, I look at this and the Chiefs defense has been, for the past so many years, they've been their Achilles heel. And it kind of seems like no matter what's going on, um, their defense lets them down time and time again. Now, granted, Sorensen is gone now. Um, Honey Badger's gone, but it's still a situation where if you were to rank these defenses 1 through 4 in the division, I think they're 4, and I think it's not even close. Do they have pass rushers? Yes, but that is all that they have. Their linebacking core, um, you know, it's weak compared to the rest of the division. Their secondary is untrustworthy, unreliable, and outside of Justin Reed, uh, really they have a lot to prove.
I mean, I think that's why they spent a lot of their draft capital this year on the defensive side of the ball, getting the defensive end in the first round, and then they went after a cornerback as well with their two first round picks. So, I mean, I think they know that if they're going to continue to compete and they're going to, not only getting out of the AFC West, but trying to compete with the Bills and yeah, I don't know if the Titans are going to still continue to be good this year, but they, and Cincinnati all of a sudden, right, with their powerful offense, you have to invest in the defensive side of the ball as well with some of these young guys that are not going to be on massive salaries, and I think they've done that.
I mean, I mean, you look, they have Chris Jones, who, all pro right there, and he has an opportunity, just like Aaron Donald, to be Defensive Player of the Year. The guy's a beast. And then they went and they spent their first round picks on the defense, like you were talking about. They got the kid from Purdue, the DN from Purdue, and then they also went and got McDuffie, their corner from this year. So it's they're addressing what they need to address,
Yeah.
and I mean they're doing what they can.
All right, so let's go ahead and transition to special teams for a second. And I think I'm not sure if it's just me. I know you always want to try to get a good kicker, but I feel like sometimes having a good kicker on an amazing offense is a bad thing. Is Are you drafting Harrison Butker with as many touchdowns as these guys score, and I feel like not enough field goals? Like, where is he
So,
at for you?
so the teams that I actually look at when I'm looking at a kicker are the teams that have those quarterbacks, like the Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens, maybe even Miami this year. Those quarterbacks that don't quite close the deal every time they get into the red zone. So,
Oh, the
um,
Raiders.
yeah, the Raiders.
Yep.
Just teams that just seem to, for whatever reason, they get down there and all of a sudden, instead of just running the ball, they decide to get pass happy and throw fade routes. Those are the teams that that I tend to look at. Unfortunately, Kansas City does not do that. Kansas City scores, and they score often, and they are very smart when they get inside the 10. So uh, Harrison Butker, he's fine, but me, I'm not putting him up there. Like that's not someone that I'm going to try and go and say, oh, I need to get this kicker.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like I struggle with Harrison Butker because he's consistent and he's consistently getting you 7 points, 8 points. And I feel like I go up against guys sometimes that end up crushing me with their kicker because they get like 16, 18, 20. You're just like, oh man, like, yes, you might have the best kicker in the league, but when it comes to fantasy, like sometimes having the best kicker is not the way to go.
Unless it's
So
Justin Tucker.
true. But once again,
Yeah.
he's on one of those teams that struggle to get it into the end zone.
All right, everybody. Thanks for today. Remember to hit that like and subscribe. Drop any comments you guys have, any ideas. We're always looking for fresh takes. Again, this is the place to be for your AFC West insight and knowledge. Again, fantasy advice, whatever you're looking for, we have you.